So Joshua, first off, I suppose, let the listeners know a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter based in Belfast. Yeah, I've released a few albums over the last few years, and mostly sort of in Irish folk sort of style, I suppose, maybe with a contemporary twist to it.
And how did you first get into music growing up? Was there someone within your family that inspired you, or was there an artist out there that you enjoyed listening to?
Various factors. Originally, I wanted to be an artist. I've always been like sort of drawn to the creative sort of side of things, and then I got an electric guitar, I think, for my 10th or 11th birthday, and quickly got into that and playing with bands. I had a few friends who played in bands, and we formed a wee band together, and we were playing sort of grunge and punk and things like that, and it was just the most fun thing to do, really. And then it just sort of spiraled from there. That's kind of how it began, I suppose.
And how did you go, I suppose, from the grunge punk to the music that you're writing and performing now?
That's a good question, with many winding paths and roads. But I guess when I got introduced by sort of my parents, I suppose, into singer-songwriters like Paul Simon and Dylan, and then later sort of and there was sort of a crossover between sort of indie rock bands and then bands that were like very lyrics focused, like in America, like Def Cab for Cutie and Bright Eyes, and those sort of quote unquote emo bands, I suppose. So I sort of got into that and got really into sort of writing lyrics, and there was always been the Irish side of things as well, you know, the Dubliners and Paul Brady and stuff have been an influence on me for a long time. And yeah, I don't know, I still love like heavier music, hardcore and grunge and punk and things, and I still listen to it. But I love the notion of like making that sort of music. But I haven't got around to it yet.
And your track, Something Else, is one of the reasons we are chatting, I suppose. Tell us a little bit about it, and is there a personal story behind it for you?
Yeah, the track Something Else is from an upcoming album, an album that's coming out in March, and the whole album really is sort of about my friend who passed away last year, and it's sort of dealing with grief and dealing with that shock. He was my age and one of my closest, my best friends really, since school days. And yeah, and most of the subject matter is pretty heavy. It deals with how the sort of last year of my life, really going through all the emotions, all the steps and all the ups and downs of it. But yeah, and that song is Something Else is sort of about not being able to accept the harsh reality of people you love die, and they're gone, and that's that, and sort of looking for answers in other places. Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it, really.
Talking about your new album, what I get from it is your album kind of sort of a story going from song to song?
It's in some ways a story. It starts off with the first song really is set or written before Dean Jendoubi was my friend's name. He passed away before he died, and it's a sort of song of hope and love. And then the second song is after the fact, and then it sort of just goes downhill from there into some pretty bleak territory. But then there's a bit of humour in there, and there's a lightness to it in a way as well, which is kind of surprising. And the music itself isn't dark and dreary. It's quite upbeat at times, and because it's when you're dealing with something like this, is I think if you have both downbeat dreary music to deal with a downbeat dreary subject, it can be a bit much really, I think, for me personally. So it's a bit of an odd record, I suppose, but I hope people get something out of it.
And going from something a little bit downbeat to incredible things that you've achieved throughout your career, including, I suppose, the Northern Ireland Music Prize for your debut album. How did that feel for you?
Yeah, it was great. It's always nice to get sort of a little bit of recognition from your peers for your work. You can't really, think too much about it or really take it on board in any way, because, your own sense of ego and ability have to come from within, not without, I think. Otherwise you start, it's a dangerous place to be if you start taking on too much good feedback as well as bad feedback. I try not to really think about it.
I suppose aside from that, what has been a career highlight for you so far?
That's a good question. There's lots of little highlights along the way. My headline tour in the US last year was a highlight, getting to go over and playing to people there, and it's all good, really. I find it really hard to sort of pinpoint moments. I think the first time I played in the Ulster Hall, it was a couple of weeks after my son was born, and I think that was a highlight. I was on a high in every which way, from becoming a dad and then playing this gigging is one of the most acclaimed venues in Ireland, and somewhere I've always wanted to perform, and so that was probably a highlight as well.
And you've just finished up your East Coast US tour and planning for your UK and EU tour, but only recently it's just been announced that you're going to be supporting your Vagabonds on their American tour for a couple of dates. How did that come about? That's pretty big.
I've toured with them before a few years ago, and I'd be friends with those guys. I'm really looking forward to it, and it's I'm honoured I'm privileged to get to open up for those guys. They're heroes of mine, amazing musicians and songwriters, and lovely people, very kind and generous guys. So I'm really looking forward to that and sharing the stage again with them.
And have you got any big plans for your UK and EU tour for the people who are heading to see you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sort of meet up with sort of the guys that I play with live, Dan and Zara, and we're going to work out the set this month and kind of figure a way of playing all the new songs and old songs, and try and make it a different show every time and keep things interesting. So yeah, I don't want to give too much away, I suppose.
And finally, I suppose, where can people find you on social media if they're looking to stay up to date or grab tickets for those shows?
Just on Instagram, Joshua Burnside, and Bandcamp is a good spot. Yeah, I don't think I have a website anymore because I stopped paying Squarespace. So, so those two places would be the best.